Is it work?
Oh, great. Sorry, my internet decided to die at the worst moment.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, Julieta. I'm just opening up a scene of Orlando's. Okay, so if you want to just wait till I'm done looking at this stuff, then I'll have a look at yours again. Okay. What Orlando did, he's having internet issues as well, is he uploaded his file, the actual Maya file, for submission. So if you want, you could do the same thing, and then you can see the recording. Okay.
Yeah, it's normal in the Mexico City internet. I hate it.
Okay, thank you.
Have there been rolling blackouts and stuff because it's getting hot and people are using air conditioners, that kind of thing? Or it's just connectivity in
No,
general?
it's not super hot, but yeah, it's hot.
So I'm just gonna head on over to where? My desktop. No. Sorry, they re-imaged the machine and I don't have my shortcuts yet. Let me get my shortcuts. So if I want to go here and I want to go here, create shortcut.
And when you were in Mexico City, where did you go?
Well, I didn't go too far. I went to, there was a big shopping mall near my hotel, the Interlomas, where they have the ice rink there. And I went to the art gallery. They had a really beautiful exhibit going on with some pieces by, what's his name? Koons, you know, the inflatable balloon dog, the big, that. And I went to the other building, which was kind of like this giant sphere, right? And they had like levels of artwork. You kept going up, the big, beautiful museum.
Bellas Artes, maybe.
Yeah, it had lots of like, it had ivory art from China. It had paintings. It had sculpture. It was like, it had everything. It was just incredible.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, and then I went to.
Did you like it or not?
Oh yeah, I was having a blast. I was just, you know, the other teachers are just like, well, just like when they found out I just went to the mall, like, did you take an Uber? I said, no, I just walked. I'm like, I don't know if that's safe for you. I'm like, really? Because, you know.
Yeah, it's better. Uber or something like that.
Yeah, because I'm so used to walking everywhere. I was like, oh, it's not that far. I was like, yeah, I know, but you stick out like a sore thumb. You're a gringo, right? You're your target. So just,
yeah, sometimes it's better
to go with somebody.
But also it's so cool to walk through the street, you know.
Oh no, it's
because you can know the real Mexico, because there are many things in the tiny shops, you know.
Yeah, like going to the markets, that would be fun, you know, but it's best to go with somebody that knows where not to go and where to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to just ask any random stranger, hey, I've got a lot of money I want to spend. Where would you go? Like, I can show you. Yeah, just got to be careful. Okay.
Yeah.
But I had a great time. Had lots of good food, and yeah, the universities were really good. They were very, very kind. Had a ton of fun. Yeah, I would go back in a heartbeat if it wasn't for stupid COVID.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same with Vancouver, you know.
Yeah,
I've never been in Vancouver, and it's like, no, what the fuck.
So sad. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
There we go. But yeah, no, because like it took a long time for me to actually get there, because I was supposed to go in I think it was 2017 or was it 2018? The year they had the big earthquake in Mexico City, which was so sad.
17.
That was 2017, right?
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to go with a bunch of other instructors, but it had like a week before we were supposed to go, the earthquake happened. And there was just, you know, no way, you know, that we could justify going with all the chaos, you know, going down there. You know, it was just awful. So they just said, okay, we'll wait. Yeah, and I know the teachers were telling me that it happened the day, they said that morning we had an earthquake drill. They said they'd had an earthquake drill in the morning, and then the real earthquake happened later in the day. It was such a weird coincidence. And they said it was the same day as another earthquake that had happened 20 years ago. It was so bizarre.
It was horrible, because many buildings near my house, come down, and it was like, fuck. Well, I mean, everybody were crazy, you know, and well.
It's so chaotic. Yeah. So it it was just
I've never been in a situation like that, and it was like, what is happening? Everything is different in my house or in my neighbor. It was so horrible. But yeah,
it's
nature,
impossible. It's impossible to understand. So my heart
Yeah,
goes out to the people that had to go through that and pick up all the pieces and try to get back to normal, right? Like it's very, 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 very challenging.
yeah.
I wish it hadn't happened. But thankfully, a couple years later, I got to go. So it was 2019 that I finally managed to get over there. But hopefully. Have either of you gone to Tec de Monterrey or Anahuac? Have you been to
I
that?
study in Tec de Monterrey.
Oh, nice. Were you in the
Yeah.
campus? Were you in the campus in Mexico City? I think it was, I forget which one it was. Dang,
I'm in the campus that fell down during the earthquake, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually.
Wow. Yeah, they
Right now it's closed, no, Julieta? Julieta,
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry.
closed. They no te preocupes. They're rebuilding the whole campus.
Wow. No, I was at the other campus.
Yeah.
I think it was the campus that was attached to a high school. So like they have there's a high school. A couple of the students that came to VFS, they said, look, I went to like the high school tech, and then I did the university there. So they basically spent their entire childhood and early adulthood there at that one place. Okay. Let's see, where are we at here? Now it's playing back a little slow. What's going on here? Real time. There we go. Okay. So what I see here, Orlando, is the first thing is there's a bit of an asymmetry. So when I look here, the character leans more to the right side of screen than to the left side. So the first thing I'd want to do is figure out what's causing that. And it looks like it's a rotate Z. So something here is rotating on this side that is not rotating on this side. There we go. So it looks like that might be a rotate X with this rig. Let me just play around with some settings here. Manipulators. Crank that up. There we go. Can you see that okay now?
Yep.
Okay, so let's look at the graph editor. There. So I would be looking at this to try and figure out, well, where is that tilt coming from? So when I look at that, there's a couple things that could be causing that tilt. It could be the hip, and that's a rotate Z. But that looks symmetric. So it looks like we rotate on one extreme and then the other extreme. So then the real question is, what's going on with this one? And that one, it looks like it's a rotate Y. So again, that seems like if that's the right thing, yeah, okay, that's tilting.
Okay, got it.
That's tilting this way, but let's look at how much. That's like 9. And then this one is 6. So what I would do is grab these and say, let's make that 9 as well. And then make that one -9, sort of make the numbers easy to remember. And then let's just see if that helps fix the problem. Okay, so here it's Z. Yeah, it's not zeroed. You see, like it feels like we're always on the negative.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to look at this and see, okay, this one, that's a -4.6. Then the extreme on the other side should be opposite sign. There. That's what's missing.
Okay.
So that fixes that. There we go. So now at least looking at the spine, at least I know I've mirrored things. So that's the first check, is once you got the poses in, is just to make sure that I've mirrored everything across the axes and that it's going to work properly.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, I thought I did it, but
Yeah, no, that's okay. Now, another thing I would probably do here is what I like to do is when the foot hits the ground, what I'll usually do is I will flatten this out. Sorry for this. I'll put this completely on the ground. So translate Y as 0. I'll have no rotation on it. So no rotation on it. So it's just flat. And then I'll just use the heel pivot, right? So this is using the heel roll. And you can see that the leg doesn't reach. It's not hitting, right? So it's only when we get to here. So we need to see what we can do to fix this. So we got a couple options. I can change the height, right? So I could do that. The other option is I could change this foot, the front position. If it's just going too far, I could bring it back in until I reach that. And that's a good compromise. It means I get to keep the height of everything. I can reduce the heel roll, so I don't need to be up that high, and I can just keep working with that until I see that knee just breaking there. So if I change this one, then I have to change this one. I have to change the mirror, right? So I have to go here and make sure that's the same. And then I have to do the same with the other side. So I have a pose here that I like, so I'll copy that. And then I'll go over here. Now the thing is, when I did the copy, I only had one channel highlighted. So that means I only copied one thing. So I have to go back, reselect it, key it, and then go copy. Because as soon as you touch one of these, then it assumes you only want to copy one. So you always have to deselect and go back. Now I have it. So I'll copy that pose, and then I'll go look at the other foot and find its front position here. And then I'll go right click and paste. And then that should match everything. But the one problem is that this direction might not be correct. So that is the translate X. And see, it's very tiny, but it's at 0. Yeah, okay, so that should be fine. So I just want to make sure that that works. And then now that I've fixed the front position for this foot, I need to make sure that everything works. Yeah, so the front position here, there's a little difference. So you can see this back foot. It's not the same. Frame 1, it's here, and frame 30, it's there. So frame 1, let's just fix
the copy, right?
Yeah, you just need to copy it. But I'm going to use the ball roll. I want the leg to be a little bit bent. I want to see a little bit of a bend in that knee. And sometimes even using your mouse, I'm using my scroll wheel, it's not going to work. It's very, very hard to get it right. So I just come into the graph editor and I'll just dial this up until I get the fidelity I need to get that in there. Then I can just deselect, copy, paste. Okay. And then the other thing I like to do is the foot, right? I want to make sure that it's moving back in a straight line. So that's the translate Z. So I'm just going to put everything into straight lines. And I know that then this point, if I just delete this, let the computer do it, this will be exactly halfway from front to back. So the computer does the work for me. So this is the part where we're on the ground. And then this is the side where on this side, we come off the ground. And that's where we can do an ease in and ease out. So we can do this. So one side will be completely straight. That's when you're on the ground. And then we can lift off that bit here. Now, the other thing is it looks like we're missing, we have like the low point. So the low point, where's the low point happening? The low point feels, I think it's in the wrong place, because I remember looking at your reference. I don't think you were this low to the ground here. When I look at the reference, let's go look and see. Okay, so you go, there's like the contact, there's the down, and then there's the passing position. The passing position, you're actually up. So the passing position, which would be this halfway point, right? And again, if we look at this, you have 14 frames. So 14 frames to go here to here. So the middle would actually be, it would actually be frame 8. That's where you'd block that in, just so it's exactly halfway. So you'd go 1 plus 7, right? Gives you 8 plus 7 gives you 15. So I go and grab this pose and say this one should be happening here. That should be our halfway point. So this low point here, right? This should be the passing position. So what we need is to go in and make sure that this low point that we have, this low point should be happening, I would guess probably maybe here, maybe there, something like that. So this is where we should have the low point. And then this is where we should have the high point. And I would just lift that up until we came off the ground. Just kind of get a nice straight leg. Come on, it won't let me. There we go. Maybe a little higher. No, it's not updating. That's weird. Okay, Did it come off the ground? Yeah, a little too much. Okay, there. So now we have contact, down, passing position, and then the push-off pose would be halfway here to here. So again, something like that. Maybe lift that up a little bit. And I'll just put everything into straight lines just to begin cleaning this up. So the up and down, I know the up and down, for the most part, the top part, I can let the computer kind of spline. And then I just want to look and see what happens for the impact, right? How harsh do I want that to be? So right now with the straight lines, you can see that I have to first fix the cycle, because at frame 15, we get back to the same place. So that means we'll do exactly the same thing twice. So I just have to copy this and paste. So now I get 2 up and downs. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And right now, the down is really sharp because I left this really sharp, right? A very abrupt change. If I flatten this out, it will soften it a little bit. And it's struggling to play back in real time, which is too bad. It's just one character in a scene, so I don't know why it's so slow, but I guess it's zoom.
Yeah, I can see it a little bit slow, but yeah.
Yeah. So then what I need to do is start looking at this and say, well, how is this going to work from here to here? And because we're dealing with something that's going to cycle, I'll just grab all the curves and go curves, pre-infinity, cycle, curves, post-infinity, cycle, view, infinity. So now whenever I look at a curve, I'll see how it connects. So if I want to look at the up and down, I'll get a good idea how it's going to connect, how the last pose is going to connect to the very first pose here. Right, so it's a bit easier to understand what the shape of the curve should be like going from here to here. And then here I can see there's a little bit of wiggle. So this is where, you know, we have to kind of make a compromise, and I'll usually fix both of these at once because they'll both be very similar. So I might just say, let's just try favoring the high point. And then my only worry is that this one looks different than this one. So I'd have to kind of look at that one and say, well, I guess it should be more like that to kind of match the curve. And there's a little blip. I can see that 30 and 1 are not the same. So I must have moved this there. That's got to be correct. Let's make sure.
To make a cycle, right?
Yeah. So if it's 15 frames, so it's like 14, right? So what should be happening is 29 should be our last frame. Because if I'm doing the math right, if we have 1 plus 14 gives us 15. So it's 14 frames for that first step. 15 plus 14 would give us 29. So we get this 1 extra frame. So I'll just grab everything and take 30 and put it at 29. So that's where our cycle should loop. There we go.
Okay, but is it related with our reference, or it has to be all?
I would look at the reference and then I would have to make a decision, because usually one step will be slightly different. There's very easy to get a frame different here or there, but with a cycle, that 1 frame counts a lot. But when you're just looking at somebody moving for a few steps, you would never notice it. It would look weird if it was perfect. But because we're trying to build a cycle, we want to make sure the cycle is symmetric. And then later we can always try to add more cycles, more steps in the cycle, and then try and loosen it up a little bit.
Okay.
Now the other thing I can see with just the feet moving, some simple things that we can do to fix it would be to look at the feet, and they should twist out a little bit from the body. So they should turn out to the side a little bit so that they don't point exactly forward. All right, so if you look at the rotation here, if it's exactly 0, then they're pointing straight 90 degrees parallel. But what I want to do is point them out to the side a little bit. I want to see, right, that they can move out that way. There we go. And then I'll just pick a number. I'll make a guess and look at the number. It's 6 degrees. Okay, let's try -6. Then the other foot would probably be +6, right? Let's rotate Y again. I'll just try 6 degrees here. There. just to push the feet out to the side a little bit. That way it feels a little more organic, a little more natural.
Okay.
And the next thing I would look at is, well, how far, if I look when the body is all up on one leg, does it feel balanced? And it feels like we should be able to move this foot under the body a little bit more. You can see here, it's changing just a little bit. So the first thing I would do is just zero everything out so it's all the same, one straight line. And then it would grab the whole curve, and I just want to move the feet closer to the center. Right, so just keep moving it until from the front view, it feels like that's going to support the weight. Okay. Even if it means they're going to intersect, I want the pose to look good. I'll worry about fixing that other stuff later. And then I'll just look at the number and say, oh, it's 1.2. Okay, 1.2. Then I go to the other side, grab that X, and it's probably going to be minus 1.2. There we go. And we'll just look and see. Now, this might be way too extreme, right? So it's more like a supermodel catwalk.
Yeah, exactly like that.
So then what I can do is I can grab both feet, this one, that one, and go look at translate X for both of them. And they're both here, right? And I can say, well, that's too much. So let's cut them down by half. I can say times equals 0.5. So now it pushes them both out a little bit more. Right, so that's a bit better. Then the only thing I need to do to clean this up is just as the foot's coming forward, I just need to move it out to the side a little. And if I want, I can cut this down even more. Let's say, okay, times equals, I know, 0.3. Right, and just see what works. That feels a little bit better.
Okay.
That makes sense? Yep.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is first.
I thought that I was really close, but not.
Just to get the hips and the feet working. So you start with the hip first and make sure that the texture, the bounce is what you want. And what you look at is where is the up and down really changing a lot. So here is a big drop. And then we also come up really quickly. So this, again, we could play around with, because sometimes the drop and the up can feel very similar. So that's when I would go looking at the reference and see what feels stronger, going down or going up. And I think it feels stronger going down. Thump, thump,
Yeah.
thump. So then I would go back to the graph editor and say, well, I'm kind of missing that here. So because this shape, it's very similar. It's almost like a letter U, right? So it's very similar, more like a rounded letter V. And they're very similar angles. So what I could do here is I could play around with this one and say, well, if I took a bit more time, if I took this point, and maybe what I'll do is I'll delete this one, and I'll take this point here, and I'll just move it a little bit over 2 frames. So that way now it's going to be a little bit slower going this way and faster going here. So I'm just trying to exaggerate that. And I could even come in here and say, well, maybe I could even put in a point here. And I could say, well, let's drop even more suddenly. And then if I do that on one side, I have to do it on the other side, right? And I could be really accurate and go grab the decimals if I wanted to make it perfect. But as long as it's close, as long as it's close. There. There, that feels good.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot. So I'm trying not to get too distracted by the upper body. It's a good idea if you can kind of like hide it and just look at the up and down as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. The nice thing about Norman is with the Norman rig, you can actually go and turn off the visibility of some geometry. So if you want, let me just go here. I'm just going to get rid of any keys that are on this control down here, the visibility of the geometry. I could go turn off all this stuff, even the arms, and not get distracted by it. I could just look at the hips and the legs.
Okay.
Right, that really helps because then you're not distracted by so many things.
Okay, the main points could be the hips and shoulders, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I usually start with the hips and the legs just to make sure that I got the height right and the hips and the legs are working pretty good. And then for the upper body, right, then it would be just trying to figure out, you know, this big lean that we have, right? So going back and forth, right? Right now, all of that chest movement is on this control. And what you could look at is I would just do a little test with Norman. If you turn on the wireframe on shaded, this will help you kind of see how it's weighted. So when you do this, you can see there's a lot of tearing, right? There's a lot of twisting that happens. But if I was to grab the control underneath, you can see it treats the chest like a block. And that's more accurate, right? So maybe that's a better control to put all that animation on. So what you could do is you could go to this one, just copy all the animation from it and paste it on this one. Okay. And then you'll get even more rotation, right?
yeah.
Right, which is kind of cool, right? So now it's like, hey, yeah, macho, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is
Macho.
time to Friday night, right? Walking
Friday
down the
night,
boulevard,
yeah.
right? Let's go get some tacos, right? This is awesome. So the only problem is that with the rig, what you might discover is like, this is too much. It might twist this. So then you might go here and look at this one and look at all the things that you're using. And my guess is we're not using any scale. It's all rotation. So you could just globally grab all of these and say, let's just tone this way down. Let's say times equals like 30%, times equals 0.3. So it's much more subtle. It's mostly on the other control, right? Okay. And then I could even copy this and put it on this control. Let's see how that works if I just double click and go paste, right? And again, it's like the amount, right? Because now they all add together.
Yeah.
And from the front, it's a bit distracting, right? It's a bit too much. So that's usually what you'll find is that, well, as you go down the chain, a little rotation here means a big change up here, right? Just like a bicycle wheel, right? A little change down here, but on the rim all the way out here, it's moving a lot. So what you might find is, well, maybe it's better to when I copy and paste these down here, these should be very subtle. I could make these much smaller, say times equals 0.2. Very subtle. Oops, not all of them. Not the scale. Oops. Watch out for that. And then times equals 0.2. There we go. So it's there, but it's just a little more subtle. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because in my rig, it was only the chest, right?
Yeah.
Right now it's all the, yeah. Okay.
And then when you look at this, what you might notice is, well, maybe, you know, it feels like it's mostly this upper tongue. It doesn't feel like this one's doing very much. You know, maybe this one does need a bit more. But does it need more of this or does it need more of this? And I might say, yeah, maybe rotate Y. Let's try and scale that up. Let's see what happens. You know, times equals, I don't know, 2. And then just start experimenting. Like, yeah, that feels a little better. I can really feel that stretch. And then I could go here and say, maybe that Y is a bit much to put on the chest. Let's scale that one down, you know, times equals 0.7. So you just sort of start backing things off and then removing them from one and putting them into the other until it starts to feel a little more connected, right? When it's too isolated, it feels very, very much like a toy, right? So it doesn't have any flexing. And of course, the hip is going to do exactly the opposite. So when you're working with this rig, you have some choices here. You could use this, but you can also use this, the salsa control. Okay. And that gives you more rotation control because this one, unfortunately, this one moves the whole body. So if I move this, I have to go back and counter animate all the other controls to fight it. So that creates a bit of an issue. So what I could do is go here and say, which one is that? That's the rotate Z. Okay, well, let's try this. Let's copy this, copy that, and then we'll just zero the whole thing out, get rid of it, and then put it on this one and say, what's this one? That one's a rotate Y. So I just go in, delete everything, go back to frame 1 and do a paste. And again, it might go the wrong way. So I may have to flip it, but I'll just do a paste. and let's see what happens. And I just want to make sure the hip should be doing the opposite. So if I look, it's doing the same thing. So I have to flip it. I have to say times equals -1, flip it around, and now it's doing the opposite of what the body's doing. That's what I want. Better. And when you look at this, you can see there's a lot of points here. You probably don't need these, especially early on, especially right around here. I might start with just doing something like this, just to kind of get the basics, just the extremes maybe, just to make it easier to clean up. And then all I need to figure out is, well, this is, what if I made this, I don't know, 8, and I made this one -8, and I put these, yeah, right in the middle. Okay, 0. So it's just, you know, just making sure the hip is kind of, if I see the chest moving a lot, you'd expect the hip would be moving a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah. And there's no reason that the two have to be perfectly lined up either. Right now, the chest and the hip are exactly timed the same. Usually the chest, because it's further away, needs more time. So I could even go grab the chest controls that I'm animating, these ones, and because they're cycling, I could drag them 2 frames later. So now it's a slightly different timing. So now the hip hits its extreme here, but the chest keeps going, right? So that way I have a little bit of an offset. So the arms have just a little bit more time. They keep going forward as the hip. So you can see the hip is already starting to rotate up this way, but the chest hasn't finished. So it just makes it feel a little more organic. Not exactly the same.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, no, the hard part is working with the head, because right now the head is kind of feeling like it's moving because of the chest. And Norman has these controls. If you go to the head, you can actually change the parenting. So right now the parent is set to be the one that's in charge. So I can zero that out, and I can change that so that the world is in charge. So I say now I put it in world space. And what happens is now the head will always look forward, right? Right? So neither of them is perfect, right? But this one means you're always looking forward. So you can play around with that and see which one do you want. Do you want it to be a child of the parent, which would be the neck, or do you want it to be attached to the root or the chest? They give you some options. So the advantage of this, I see the chat window going. Is everything going okay? Do you want this? Ah, there we go. Let's see. You want 3 different perspectives in one video? 3 different videos are fine, G1. Okay. It's nice to have them all in one video as well, but do 3 individuals, okay?
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
and then I'm sorry to interrupt, like, but anyway, after Orlando, could you look at mine too?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I'm almost wrapped up here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I also uploaded my Maya scene to the
Yes.
submissions folder.
So this isn't quite what I would do with yours. So it might be good to put it back the other way, but the issue is just making sure the head is doing what you want it to do. Okay, Orlando?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries. Okay, so Julieta, did you upload yours?
Yeah.
Well, see you. Thank
Okay,
you
see
for
you.
everything.
No problem. I'll say buenas tardes, right? Or is it
You're
buenas
right.
noches right now? Is it buenas tardes now, or is it buenas noches now for you?
No, it's buenas tardes.
It's buenas tardes now. Muy bien. My kid's learning Spanish on Duolingo. He's so much farther ahead than I am, so he's starting to connect the dots, which is really cute. Okay. Where's your file, Julieta?
It's in the submissions folder. And
I thought I had that open.
it's
Can you see
there
this?
inside of that folder.
Oh, there we
That
are.
one, there, yeah. And
Gotcha.
I think it's the second one. Yeah, the
okay.
point 14.
Let's see. This one, I
The
think.
one on the bottom. That one.
Okay, and I need Mr. Buttons.
Mhm.
Okay. Stop. Is Mr. Buttons in here?
I think he was in the complex folder.
Complex one. Mr. Buttons. There you are. Are you in Mexico City as well, Julieta, or are you some other location in Mexico?
No, I'm in Mexico City.
But that's a huge city.
Yeah, it is.
It's big. Okay. All right, that's looking good. I'm glad you fixed the heel. That's nice. That'll help a lot. The tail looks a lot simpler too. That's really good.
Mhm.
And the head, let's have a look at this in a perspective view. See.
I also had to tweak a little bit the rotation of the head because when I rotated like the chest, it went like crazy.
Okay. I think the bow is doing a lot. I'm wondering if the bow is going to be a problem here. Let's see. So to
The only
animate,
controller of the bow that I changed is the last one, the one that's in the corner.
just this one, kind of
Yeah,
like
just that
that.
one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I rotated it in the y-axis, I think.
Here, it just feels like it changes shape like really dramatically. So I'm just worried that we have like a very big open shape, and then here it gets all
Okay.
crunched up. So just tone that down. It's just because here we have like this, and then this. It's really big. So it's big
Okay.
changes. I would make that a lot more subtle, because
Mhm.
otherwise it's going to be distracting. It's going to feel like almost like it's talking, right?
Okay.
It feels almost like a
Okay.
butterfly that's being stepped on. Right?
Okay.
It's like squash, squash, squash. Okay. Okay, that's looking good. So I think the big issue in here is trying to figure out what happens when we get like these big changes. So you go down really far, up really far, and then down really far. So what I would start looking at is the hip and try to track what's going on there. Now, one thing I see here is the character, that's the hip, okay. Is there a control that lets you move the hip without moving the upper body? This one.
I don't know if that's for control.
Yep, this is it. Okay. So what I would recommend is most of the time what I try to do is I try to do all of my rotation with this as much as I can.
Okay.
The only reason is that if I use this, it affects the upper body.
Mhm.
So if the director tells me, please change the hip rotation, it's too much or it's too little, if I have to work with this one, it could mean I have to redo a lot of other controls.
Yeah.
But if I'm able to work with this one, then I have a bit of help. The other thing I would suggest is try to avoid using both. So if I look at this one, it has rotate Y, and
Yeah,
this one
I use
has
both.
rotate Y. So what'll happen is they will fight each other. So that's the tricky
Okay.
part. Now, one thing we can do, which is kind of sneaky, is if I want to fix this, the problem is if I go here and I zero this out, then I don't have a record of that pose anymore, right? And it means you're going to have to redo a lot of this stuff. So I think for what you've got right now, I would leave it alone. But what you could try doing is maybe taking this control and say, well, if I'm going to use rotate Y, let's only use it in one place. So you could
Okay.
go to the graph editor and go to the rotate Y and just grab this whole curve and then mute it. And just see if it does very much. See if you need it.
The muting that like makes it disappear. Like
Yeah, it makes it turn off. The other option, of course,
Okay.
is you could always just zero everything out. So I could just grab this whole curve and hit 0 and just see how that affects the posing. And if it doesn't affect it very much, then I wouldn't worry. I'd be like, okay, everything's in the other control. That's fine, right? No problem. Then you can go back here, put everything in linear, start with the up and down, start with the translate Y, and again, hit this with auto tangent And I would also grab all these, turn on your pre-infinity cycle, post-infinity cycle, everything linear. And you see over here, there's a key over here. I don't know what that is, but don't hit the delete button because it could be something that has to do with visibility.
No, in the things my animation starts at frame 12 because I liked that frame more in my reference.
I see. Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. So then we just need to go back over here and see if there's any keys. Hit the delete button just so it'll cycle properly. And you can see something happen there when I deleted it.
No, I don't think so.
Let's see if I hit this and hit delete. Doesn't do very much. Yeah, so we just need to make sure here. Oops, where was it? Frame 12, you start?
Yeah.
There, frame 12. Hit S, key everything. And then the last frame was
35 or 36, I don't remember.
36, there we go. And then just hit S, make sure everything's locked in. And then what I usually do is with everything selected, I'll key all, and I'll just hit, go from here to here and just make sure that those two poses are the same. Good. S, 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 S. So I get this wall of keys, and now at least I know where everything's going and moving. And then just start with the up and down. Spline that. With the feet, again, each rig is a bit different. So this one, I'm not sure if it's a good idea if you put this rig flat on the ground, it goes to the floor. No, okay. So you have to, yeah, that's not good. Is there a heel ball? Okay, so that does this, but you still have to translate it. I see. Okay. So that's annoying. That's when they didn't build the rig right. Yeah, and I think here the biggest one for me is this transition from here to here. What I try to do is if I can copy that pose, I'll try copying and pasting it here, and then just start by translating it back, right, to kind of match the heel to toe, and then I'll roll it up. I'll try and use the toe lift or whatever control they give me. There we go. Well, that doesn't do very well, does it? Is there a toe tilt?
No, I think that there's like a toe up and down. And that's the
so you have to do this. I see. That's too bad. Okay. Yeah, ideally it'd be nice to, yeah, it's not perfect, is it? What does this do? That, toe up, down, ball up, down. Okay, so that's just the ball. Yeah, they didn't build, yeah, wrong tilt. Okay, and then this one, yeah, not great. Ball up, down. Yeah, not great. So that's too bad. But I just want to make sure it feels like it's going up. I think you'd probably have to tilt this up pretty far to make it feel like it's rolling up on the toe. And then I could use the toe up, down to kind of fudge it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's too bad because this creates a very odd looking pose. Oh, and also watch out here, the stretch is on. So this means that the leg will always stretch. So that can give you a false sense of security. It makes the legs feel a little rubbery. So I usually keep the stretch set to 0. And again, it just shows you that's how much room the legs actually have.
Okay.
So we can leave it here, but just realize that it will give you as much room as you want, which can make the legs grow and shrink, right? So you have to really be consistent and understand the length of the legs, because here it might feel like they're physically growing as opposed to moving, right? So we just got to be careful of that. Okay.
Okay.
There. I'll probably move that back a little. There. Yep. There. Good. Just to make sure that that's rolling back. And then what I like to do, as soon as that foot comes in the air, I prefer to turn all of these things off and just have
the rotation.
Just use the rotation as much as I can. And here I would probably put this one maybe a little bit lower, maybe like halfway.
Oh, the thing is, if I have it like lower and like more to the back, it crashes when they, because I try to move them in X so that they are like in the middle.
Gotcha. So you
They
just have to
crash.
dodge. I see. There we go. Oh, people coming. Got my mask on. Oh. Okay. And then watch out for your knee. There we go. And then the other knee, just keeping that focused there. So a little bit of knee management as you go through. It's kind of wobbling a little much. Yeah, right there. Goes back a little far.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking good.
Okay.
Yeah. I think cleaning up the tail, I think that's a much better option. Keep it simple. Good.
Mhm.
And then when you get into splining this, the biggest change you can see is the body's going this way and that way, right? So right now, everything is timed the same frame. The same frame we go down is the same frame we go this way. So what you could try to do is offset that a little. So you would go looking at your controls and say, well, where's that coming from? So if I look at this control for the chest and say, oh, that's my rotate Z. So I could look at that rotate Z and see if you want to offset it. When you look through this, always be questioning stuff like this, where you can see that we go in one direction and then we reverse. And it could be that you're fighting other controls. Sometimes this is what you have to do, but it's good just to double check what's going on, because if you're like, I'm over here, it's negative, I'm over here, it's positive, the trend is to go this way, to go up.
Mhm.
Why am I reversing? So just go through that area and double check. Sometimes you have no choice because the controls fight one another. But if you see that another control is doing that, always ask, why is that one doing this, right? Why is this control? As soon as I see something like this, I get suspicious. Should I delete this one? Or should I delete this one, right? So you just figure out what's the simpler option. But never just assume the graph is right or wrong. You have to look at your movement and see what's going on. And I can see there's a big click and then it clicks back. So my guess is probably this should be more like this. And then I'll just flip through and see what happens to that control. Yeah, that looks better, right? So I think in that case, that makes it look a little bit smoother.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Because when you see a problem up on the head, odds are it's coming from the chest or the hips. It's not necessarily coming from the head or neck control. All right.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. There was someone else who wanted me to look at some stuff.
Thank
Was
you.
me. Yeah, was me. Is it still okay?
Let's have a look. Is it on, who's speaking? Is that Siwan?
Jiwon.
Siwan. Is it in here?
No, that's Siwon's part. Siwon's one. This is Jiwon.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Actually, I just drove in the Maya file in with Porter.
There you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So I'll try and open this up. And
If it doesn't work, I can screen share that on the Zoom. So.
uh-oh, what happened here? Ah, there we go. Ah, you need the Norman rig as well. Okay, I got that one. Norman. Good. Easy. Oh, it's very orange.
Oh yeah, because gray doesn't look.
Whoa, come on, what's going on here? Let's grab the controls. Okay, so make sure you're seen. We only need up to here. Let's say that's frame 33.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, the main thing is the first shot and 33 needs to be same, so I copied it. But when I look at it, they look different a little bit. So I don't know where to fix.
One thing that you need to do is, Norman, you need to switch him to be IK. We should be working with this joint for the feet.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'll never switch. Now, you're very lucky. Norman has a script. So if you go to the rig folder, there's a script, an IKFK script for Norman that will let you keep the pose. let me see if I can find it here. Rigs, simple Norman. Okay. So this script here, this one, you can run this script. So it's important that you need to put the script in the right place. So where this would go is you would go to your documents folder in Maya and then go to your scripts folder, paste it in here, okay? And there it is. If you open up the script file, it usually will tell you in the file how this works. Okay, so usually what you have to do is just run the script and it will do this for you. You can check the README as well. Make a shelf button or hotkey for this. You run this, right? So if I run that, it's gonna run the script. So I copy that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that over here. I have to tell Maya that there's a new script. So I type in rehash.
Yeah.
You type in rehash, it will just scan the script folder again. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll select I'll go to frame 1 and I'll select one of the legs here. Okay. And then I'm going to paste in the command. Okay. And I'm going to test it, see if it works. It worked. See that?
Okay. Yeah.
So Norman is one of the only rigs that will do this.
Oh, yeah.
And then what I can do is I can grab this, middle mouse drag it, and put it on a shelf. So now it's just a button. So now all I have to do is go through, and anytime I see this and I'm on a frame, I just hit that button and it'll switch it. And then I come back to like, okay, now the problem is of course that I've switched it, but I have to go back and turn it back on all the time. So I need to go here and then key it, and then I have to turn off. I have to go grab both of these and turn them off again, right? And then it will go back, and then I'll be able to see, okay, where's the other, poses. So this is the tricky part, is like when you want to go and convert from one to the other, you might lose a lot of your work. Okay, so let me just undo a little bit here. Let me just open up the file again. There, okay. So I've got the rig, but what I want to be able to do is, the problem is as soon as I change it, right, have these been baked out so I can find them. So I need to find Norman's IKFK switch, which I think is on this one. Or is it on, where's this EX controls? There we go. You need to turn on the extra controls. Yep, good. Okay, and then we need to find the EX controls for his legs. Where did they go? The extras, there we go. Okay, they're on. There, okay. So now we grab this. Okay, so this lets us switch from one to the next. So if I need to, I can go back to see the IKFK switch. Okay, so I'm here. I go grab both of the controls. Let me just turn off everything. Show, none. I need curves, polygons. I don't need joints, maybe locators, motion trails. Good, nerve surfaces maybe. Okay. So now I know I'm just grabbing the legs, right? So I go grab the legs here, right? And where's the other one? There. Oh, that one's already been switched. Okay. So I got to put this one back. Where is it? The EX controls. Oh, this got keyed. That's why. Okay. Yeah, don't key this. Leave that no keys. And then we turn on the extra controls there. So they're always visible. Okay. So I'm going to switch back to 0 here. Okay. So there's the IK controls. Sorry, the FK controls. I need to go grab all 3 of them. Okay, because I want to make sure that I'm keying the leg poses everywhere. So I'm just going to go hit S, 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 S. Okay, so now I've locked in all the keys, got those positions. And then what I want to do is I want to run the script on this. So I only need to select this part of the chain. So I go here at frame 1 and I hit the script, and it will turn them into IK. Okay, then I use this and I go back and I set everything back to this, and then I scrub through and say, okay, where's the next key? So I go grab these controls. I say, okay, there's a key, and there, good. Then I go here, put it back. So this is very, very painful, but you get through all this stuff and you're like, okay, now great. Now I just need to go to the next one. I run my script, good. And it was here, and I go back to the EX controls, turn it back the other way, right? I just need to, grab the foot controls. No, EX, this one. Zero those out, okay, and then go grab the feet again, right? And then you do the match script, and then you grab your IK controls, script, run the script. No, why is it not working? I should do the IKFK match script. That one works. Yeah, it's not working, okay. There, okay. And as soon as you got it, then you hit S, okay?
Yeah.
So you have to use that script, and then you got to go through, because if you try and clean this up in FK, the feet will never stick to the ground.
Okay, yeah.
So,
And then I have the main, I don't know, I copied it, the first shot in the last, but they don't look same.
okay.
That's the problem.
I think it's this. You're moving this. This moves up and down.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably it. You're lifting up that main control right there. So don't do that.
Okay.
And then they'll line up okay. So now if you go to frame 1 and 29, right, they should be the same.
Yeah.
Make sure you just grab everything. If you know frame 1 is accurate, that's the right one, then you just need to know which frame is the last one. If it's 33,
Yeah.
and just go through. They look pretty close. Just copy 1 to 33
Yeah.
and just make sure, right, that when you flip from 33 to 1, nothing moves. So you know that everything's okay. Okay?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, but the most important thing is make sure, put this into IK, and then you might get lucky if you use the script. You might be able to go to those other keys and find the poses again, but this is not a fun process, right? I think you can do this frame by frame. It's probably faster just to redo it from your reference.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Great, thank you.
The script is not too difficult to understand how to work, right? You just got to install it, use this, map it to a button, and then you can go through. You can even make a keyboard shortcut and just go through and get the legs to stay in the same spot, but switch from IK to FK.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, actually, I see you're recording right now. Is it possible to upload it, or?
Sorry?
Now I see you're recording this video. So is
yes,
it
yeah.
possible to upload it?
Yeah, no, when Flor edits the video, I'll make sure she puts this in there as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, it's already for 2. I'm sorry to take it.
Oh, that's okay.
lecture.
I'm gonna stop the recording.